Welcome to Overview of edTPA. As the title suggests, the purpose of this video is to give you an overview of edTPA, the expectations of this assessment, and how ISU will prepare you for and support you during your edTPA experience. edTPA is a content-specific, performance-based assessment required for licensure in the state of Illinois. Illinois State University requires the passage of edTPA to complete any ISU teacher education program that leads to licensure. While it may seem to you like edTPA has come out of nowhere, the reality is that edTPA has been over 10 years in the making and was developed in collaboration with some of the leading researchers in performance-based assessments. The purpose of edTPA is to move beyond theory and to ask teacher candidates to demonstrate what they can and will do on the job. edTPA represents a change in how the state of Illinois examines the readiness of teacher candidates for their own classrooms. Instead of candidates simply knowing the right answer to a question on an exam, edTPA allows them to demonstrate their abilities in the areas of planning, instruction, and assessment in a content-specific manner with a focus on the reasoning behind what they are doing. Many teacher candidates want to know what they will be required to do for edTPA. You will be given a handbook which clearly outlines the expectations of the edTPA assessment, including logistics and other essential information. edTPA was designed to examine the different components of accomplished beginning teaching. There are 3 tasks that you will complete. Task 1, planning, Task 2, instruction, and Task 3, assessment. As you can see, at the center of edTPA is a focus on student learning. As this graphic illustrates, all teachers, beginning or otherwise, need to make student learning the focus of their planning, instruction, and assessment practices. In the planning task, you will present your plans and other materials for your learning segment, including your thinking behind the choices you are making. These materials will be evaluated by a set of 5 rubrics, each of which looks at a different aspect of accomplished beginning teaching. In Task 1, you will submit 2 commentaries, the Context for Learning, which provides background information about the community, school, and class in which you are completing your edTPA, and the Planning Commentary, in which you will provide explanations for the choices you are making. In addition to these 2 commentaries, you will provide 3 documents known as artifacts, your lesson plans, instructional materials, and assessments. In Task 2, you will demonstrate your ability to execute the instruction and assessment practices you discussed in Task 1. In this task, the evidence is presented in the form of video, as well as a written reflection on the video evidence. You will want to make sure to read through the Task 2 rubrics before planning your lessons so you can capture on video the evidence you need to be successful on Task 2. Task 2 requires the submission of video and an instruction commentary. The number and length of video clips depends on your handbook, so be sure that you read those details carefully. The purpose of the assessment task is for you to show that you can examine student learning and respond appropriately. This task focuses on one assessment that you have had the students complete during the learning segment. Since the Task 3 rubrics focus on feedback to students and next steps for learning, we recommend that you choose a formative assessment as the focus of your Task 3. For most handbooks, Task 3 requires the analysis of the learning demonstrated by the whole class, the submission of work samples from 3 different students, and your findings and reflections in the form of the assessment commentary. You will want to examine the evidence chart in your edTPA handbook to determine the specific logistics for your content area. Your edTPA portfolio will be created and completed during your student teaching experience. For most teacher candidates, it is a 10 to 12 week project, with most teacher candidates completing Task 1 in the first 6 weeks, teaching the learning segment sometime in weeks 7 and 8, and then completing Tasks 2 and 3 in weeks 9 through 11. This timeline can vary based on individual circumstances, but this gives you an idea of how the semester may go. We recommend that you manage your time wisely, as the greatest enemy of edTPA success is procrastination. Many teacher candidates have a difficult time envisioning what the edTPA process actually looks like. As you can see from this graphic, you will first plan your learning segment, including the completion of your Context for Learning and planning commentary, as well as the creation of your lesson plans, instructional materials, and assessments. After that, you will teach your learning segment. During this time, you will collect the evidence for your Task 2 and Task 3 artifacts. For Task 2, you will need to video your instruction. We highly recommend that you video all of your learning segment lessons in order to maximize your choices when you select your Task 2 video. For Task 3, you will want to collect student work samples for at least one formative assessment. We recommend that you collect student work for the whole class for 2 different formative assessments. Again, this will maximize your choices when you select your Task 3 assessment. Once you've taught your learning segment and collected your evidence, you will create the Task 2 and Task 3 portions of your edTPA portfolio. These tasks can be created and completed in any order you would like. You will then submit your entire edTPA portfolio, Tasks 1, 2, and 3, for official scoring. When your edTPA portfolio is complete, you will submit it to edtpa.com for official scoring. The edTPA scores are content area experts who are teachers, current, retired, or national board certified, or university teacher preparation faculty. These scores go through over 20 hours of intense training and must complete a qualification process in order to be allowed to score. Once qualified, scores are consistently monitored for accuracy in scoring. If a portfolio doesn't meet the state cut score, it is automatically scored a second time by a different scorer. If the second scorer also has a portfolio as below passing, the portfolio does not pass. However, if that second scorer scores a portfolio as passing, the portfolio is scored a third time by a scoring supervisor. So if a portfolio does not meet the state standard, it is scored at least 2 times prior to a failing score being returned. Illinois State University was proactive in its approach to edTPA. From 2011 to 2015, ISU had over 2,200 teacher candidates complete edTPA portfolios, with over 1,300 of those sent for official scoring. The data from these pilot portfolios were used to identify and target areas of challenge, which led to the intentional implementation of edTPA language and activities into program coursework. ISU faculty have worked tirelessly to make the preparation for edTPA seamless for teacher candidates, and we continue to use the data from our teacher candidates' edTPA score reports and their feedback to make program improvements. For those students who would like additional preparation for edTPA, we offer a 1-hour online course each summer, which walks you through the different things you will need to do while completing your edTPA portfolio, allows you to practice these activities, and gives you feedback from an experienced instructor. ISU teacher candidates have a plethora of resources available to them, and we recommend that you take advantage of everything provided to you. Most materials will be delivered via your student teaching course in live text. From a global perspective, edTPA is the beginning of your professional development continuum. Perhaps for the first time, you are going to be exposed to rubrics that are based on a growth model rather than getting a specific grade. edTPA is aligned with the Danielson framework, which forms the basis of the professional teaching evaluations in most Illinois school districts. Furthermore, edTPA is modeled after National Board Teaching Certification, which means that edTPA is great preparation for becoming a National Board Certified teacher later in your career. In the short term, your edTPA scores can provide you with feedback you can use for interviews as you seek your first teaching position, as well as identifying goals and needs for your first professional development plan. For those of you seeking additional information, these sites will be great resources. Additional questions can also be directed to your program coordinator or Elisa Palmer, the ISU edTPA coordinator. I hope you have found this video helpful as you begin exploring the world of edTPA.